Hi students, this is Ms. Tai here. In this video, we will review 5 additional questions that you need to know for the new digital SAT. Grab a notebook and pencil and let's get started. Number 16, which expression is equivalent to the expression listed here above? For this problem, you will need to factor out the GCF, that is the greatest common factor. We start by looking at the coefficients. What number can divide into both 6 and 12? If you said 6, then that is absolutely correct. Then we're going to take a look at the variables. We will first confirm that both terms share the same variable. So I see an X term here as well as an X variable here. They both have the X variable. Once you confirm that the X variable shows up in both terms, you will take the lower exponent of the two. That's going to be X squared. That will be our GCF, meaning X squared is a factor of both of these terms. For this first term, we're going to leave 6 X's behind. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now let's take a look about the Y variable. Y shows up in both terms as well. We would take the lower exponent, but in this case, since both exponents are the same, we will take Y squared. Now let's see what's left inside of the parentheses. We have 6x to the 8th y squared divided by 6x squared y squared. The 6 is going to cancel out, the y squared is going to cancel out, and now we have x to the 8th divided by x squared. The rule is when dividing exponents with the same base, we keep the base and subtract the exponents. So x squared divided by x squared is 1. We can do 8 minus 2 to give us 6. So we're leaving x to the 6th power behind. That's going to be the first term that's left in the parentheses. And then here on the right-hand side, the second term, we have 12x squared y squared divided by 6x squared y squared. Remember, we want to divide both terms by the GCF to see what's left. The y squared cancels out, the x squared cancels out, and now we have 12 divided by 6 is 2. So when we look at our answer choices, we can see that the correct answer is C. 6x squared y squared times x to the 6 plus 2. C is the correct answer. Let's continue. Number 17. A neighborhood consists of a 2-hectare park and a 35-hectare residential area. The total number of trees in the neighborhood is 3,934. The equation 2x plus 35y equals 3,934 represents this situation. Which of the following is the best interpretation of x in this context? So we know that 3,934 is the total number of trees, right? We can also see that x is associated with the 2. So the number 2 is associated with the parks, and the number 35 is associated with the residential area. So anything with residential area, we're going to get rid of. Now, since the equation is figuring out the total number of trees in the neighborhood, we need to figure out the average number of trees per hectare. That's going to be choice A. So X represents the average number of trees per hectare, specifically in the park. Let's continue. Number 18, the graph shows the relationship between the number of shares of stock from company A, X, and the number of shares of stock from company B, Y, that Simone can purchase. Which equation could represent this relationship? For this type of problem, I like to look at some of the key points. So I can see that the y-intercept here is the point 0, 40, and the x-intercept here is the point 60, 0. So when I substitute these points into the equation, it must satisfy the equation. So right now, we have choice A and choice C already written in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Therefore, b should be our y-intercept. But notice the y-intercept is supposed to be 40. So for choice A, the y-intercept is 12. Choice C, the y-intercept is 8. So automatically, we know that answer choice A and C are incorrect. Now we can observe B and D. They're both set equal to 480. The only difference is that one has 8 next to the X and then 12, and then for D, it's just switched. So let's go ahead and substitute our values to see which one works. So let's try out the point 0, 40. We have 8x plus 12y equals 480. we will have 8 times 0 plus 12 times 40 equals 480. This, of course, is 0. And 12 times 4 is 48. So it looks like choice B is the correct answer. If you want to just confirm, you can substitute 0, 40 into the second one. You'll notice that 12 times 0 is 0, and 8 times 40 is 320, and 320 is not equal to 480. So B is the correct answer. Number 19. Circle A has a radius of 3n and circle B has a radius of 129n, where n is a positive constant. The area of circle B is how many times the area of circle A? Let's set it up. I love to draw a diagram when it comes to geometry problems because it helps me to see exactly what's going on. So we are going to draw two circles and represent the radii. So this first one is going to be circle A, and it has a radius of 3n. And the second circle here is going to be circle B, and it has a radius of 129n. So first of all, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we want to make sure we are using that formula. Now it says the area of circle B, which is going to be pi times 129n squared, right? Because that's the radius, 129n, is how many times the area of circle A. So x times the area of circle A, which is going to be pi times 3n squared. So whatever the area of circle A is, which is pi times 3n squared, we're going to multiply it by some number x in order to get the area of circle B. So we're solving for x here. So we can go ahead and divide by pi times 3n squared on both sides because we want to figure out that value of x. And let's cancel some things out. So pi is going to cancel out, right? And then I'm going to continue our problem over here. So we have some space. We're going to have 129 squared times n squared over 3 squared times n squared. Of course, these n squareds are going to cancel out. We can simplify this a little bit more. So like 129 times 129 over 3 times 3. 3 can divide into both of these numbers. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. We have 43. Now, who knows what 43 times 43 is? Just in case you don't know, I'm going to show you a way to just do a quick guess to figure out the scope. So notice all 4 of these answers are pretty different. I know that 3 times 3 is 9, so the number is going to definitely end in 9. So we can already eliminate A and B. And technically 43 is pretty close to 40. So if I multiply 40 times 40, I would get 1600. And I know that the number has to be greater than that. So automatically, we kind of know that D is the correct answer. Now, if you want to go ahead and calculate this for yourself, you can go ahead and do 43 times 43, and you will get 1,849. Let's continue. The frequency table summarizes the 57 data values in a data set. What is the maximum data value in the data set? So the question specifically refers to data values, right? So this is the column that refers to data values, okay? And they're asking you what's the maximum data value. So these numbers are ordered from least to greatest, and the maximum data value is 14, okay? So this is pretty much straightforward. Now, I just want to talk about what are the things that students typically do to kind of throw themselves off when reading problems like this. They look at frequency and they're like, oh, well, frequency, the biggest number is 11. And I'm like, did you read the problem? They didn't ask you for the highest occurring number, right? If they asked you for which number occurred the most, it would be 11. And if they asked you how many times did the highest occurring number show up, then that would be 11 in this case. But that's not what they asked. They said, what is the maximum data value, right? So that's 14. Now, for anyone who is still confused on what a frequency table is, I just want to list out some of the numbers just so you can get a visual. So a frequency table is saying that each of these data values shows up a certain number of times. So the 6 shows up 3 times. The 7 shows up 3 times. The 8 shows up 8 times, okay? We have the 9 showing up 8 times and the 10 showing up 9 times. So I won't continue here, but the idea is we're going to end with the 14 showing up 6 times, right? So when the question is asking us, what is the maximum data value? Of course, the number 14 is going to be the biggest number in the actual data set. If they ask you about the highest occurring number, or what we like to call the mode, that's a totally different question. The mode in this case is going to be 11. And how many times did the mode show up? 11 times, okay? So just keep that in mind. Don't be fooled by these types of questions. They're super easy, but they're designed to trick you. So make sure you pay close attention to what the question is asking. If you learned something in this video, please go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodles!